Right. Hi guys. How's everyone feeling today? Is everyone okay now? You can chat to me if you want.
Sleepy.
Yeah, same too. Okay, good. So today we have our second spelling class today. And if you guys remember at the end of last week, I asked you guys to prepare that 1B words of the champions list. So what we're actually going to do with that today is at the end of class today, we'll have a 7-question quiz based off of those words. So, and Adia has a question, I believe. So if you can just type that.
I haven't been to the last class. This was my first one.
In the last
You're muted.
So after last class, I sent an email to everyone with the slideshow that we used and the Zoom meeting recording. So I'll just send that to everyone again, so everyone has access to that in case they missed the class. Today we'll start today's class, and in today's class, if everyone could mute real quick. So in today's class, we will be learning about etymology patterns, and more specifically Greek and Latin etymology patterns. So etymology is basically where a word comes from, like the language a word is derived from. Because as you know, English borrows a lot of its words from different languages. So etymology is basically using the languages that like in a spelling bee, you'll be able to ask the pronouncers which language a word came from. And you can use that information to help you spell the word, as different languages have different patterns. So we will learn about the Greek and Latin patterns today, etymology. So our objective for today's class, today we will learn about the patterns and etymologies for Greek and Latin. We will review the spell it words for from these languages, which I will explain in a bit, and then we will have our quiz from the words of the champs 1B words. So, what is the importance of the etymology of a word? The importance of the etymology in a word is you can learn patterns from the etymology of a word. English words don't have the same spelling and sounds as Sanskrit words due to cultural variation, as all languages sound different, as you guys know. So with the etymology, you can learn the roots of the words, and you'll be able to split up the words into multiple sections. These languages truly shaped the way English works. So if you learn these languages, you're basically learning the parts of the English language. This is why spellers usually use the patterns that they learn in foreign languages classes to help with spelling knowledge. As I took Latin when I was participating in the spelling bee, my Latin knowledge actually helped me quite a lot in the vocabulary and spelling sections of the bee. So that's why foreign languages do help. So that's why the importance of etymology is evident in that way. So sources for etymology preparation. As etymology is a very important subject in spelling, there are many sources that can help you tackle the exotic languages. And here are a couple that serious spellers should use. So first one is Spell It. This used to be the old list for like your school and regional competitions, and it uses etymology as the main divider in all of their lists. And they don't use it anymore as they use the words of the champions, but I still think this is a very good list for especially if you're starting to learn about etymology. Spell It is a very good list to help you learn about basic etymology patterns. So as you can see, they used to have a website, but they took it down due to it not being used anymore. And basically what it is if you go down, the first language that appears is Latin, and they give like a little tidbit about it and stuff. And then they give a bunch of words and challenge words. And then they give spelling tips. And these spelling tips are just basic this is a basic start in learning etymology, like uh like all these patterns that they use. This is the basic start into learning etymology. So, especially if you're a beginner speller, uh, looking at Spell It is a good source to use. And they have many languages, like they have Latin, Greek, Spanish. They have all of the major languages. So this is just like basically like an introduction into etymology. Next one is Spelling Mantra. This website is run by a former Spelling Bee runner-up, and she does a really good job with etymologies, but her thing is for like very advanced spellers. Her videos are for very advanced spellers, and she has about 12 hours of video just on languages up there. And here is the link to her website. As you can see, she has all of these languages, and she has a bunch of videos on them, like for Latin, Chinese, all these major languages. She has a bunch of videos on them. She runs this blog, so that's a good source to use to help you study etymology, especially if you're very, very committed to the spelling bee way. And there are a lot of spelling books out there, but my favorite personally is Words of Wisdoms. And this is written by a speller who got in the final, who was in the finals twice, like he was in the top 10 twice. And especially for etymology, this book has a big section just focusing on etymology right here. And I really like this book because it has about like 10,000 words. But these words, if you know these words, you'll be really prepared for like the national level, because this guy chose a bunch of really good words. So yeah, they added Hindi and Polynesian to it. And one last book is How to Spell Like a Champ, which basically goes through everything spelling, but has a basic section on etymology. So some of these sources cost money, like these books. I think this book is in high demand now, so it probably would be very expensive, unless like you're like super committed. It'd be very expensive to buy, but you can find sources. There's many sources online, so yeah. No problem to anyone who's late, by the way. So this chart right here is very interesting. I found it. It's a frequency of etymologies and spelling bees. So these are in, this is in the National Spelling Bee, and this is the dates from 1996. Oh, sorry. And this is data from 1996 to the 2014 Spelling Bee. And if you guys can see here, you can see that Latin, Middle English, French, and Greek are the main language, main represented languages up here. So, and all the languages that derive from Latin too, like if you guys ever know, there are many European languages that derived from Latin. If anyone has a question, I won't be able to get to your hand if it's raised, so just type it in the chat and I can look at it there. So there are many languages that derive from Latin, and these languages are called the Romance languages, and they are French, Greek, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian, I believe. So these are the 5 languages that derive from Latin. And as you can see, all of them are very common here, with the exception of like Portuguese, like Spanish, Italian, and French are high up here. So you can see that Latin is a very important language in the spelling bees overall. So it's important to know, especially the etymologies that come up more important. Like you shouldn't really spend a lot of your time spelling like studying a language like Swedish or so, because not many words come up in there. But using this data, you can help portion your time into which things are more difficult and more prominent. So in today's class, we're going to learn about the 2 biggest languages in the spelling bees, and they are Greek and Latin. So first I'll go over a quick history for Greek. Greek is from the Hellenistic era, and it is a very old language, one of the oldest languages. And and it's the prime language in science, art, and mathematics, and it's spoken in the country of Greece up to today. Many roots, along with Latin, make up 60% of the English language. So Greek and Latin together, they make up about 60% of the words that we speak in English. And they're common words used in spelling bees, and they make about 20% of national spelling bee words. So, see, here are some Greek rules. So they have similar vowel rules to what we have in English, as English is very heavily based from that in our common English words. So the Y is pretty common in Greek. And H following consonants is also common. Like PH, you can see that in phone. There are a couple of more complicated words like chronology and rhinoceros that have the CH and the RH. And if we will learn about this at the end of this class and in the beginning of next class, but there are many roots, like kind of parts of the word that come from the language, and they have similar meanings. There are many roots in the above words. Like, for example, photo in photography means light, and in the same word, the graphy means to write. And chrono in chronology means time. So these are all roots, and we will learn some of the roots at the end of today's class. And many roots that we have in English come from Greek and Latin too. And one more thing that kind of tips off a couple spellers is the silent letter at the beginning of the word. So here are some common things. The P is silent in a lot of words, especially words that have PS. The S is more commonly pronounced, like in psychology and pseudoptics. The CH can be silent in a couple words, as in this word. And this word, you might think it will be pronounced catonic, but this word up here would actually be pronounced thonic. So as you can hear in that, the CH would be silent. And the PH can also be silent, but this is in rare cases, most likely, like in this word, thyrophagus. So these rules don't apply all of the time, but it's just a common thing that happens in Greek that doesn't really happen a lot in other languages, especially with these letters. So here are some Greek tables that I made, and we will just go through them real quickly. As you guys know, the F sound in Greek is most likely pronounced with the PH, as in phone, photography, and naphtha. And the Z at the beginning of a word is pronounced X, most likely. And you can see that especially in the root xyl, which means wood. So here, xyloid, xylophone. And an exception to this is zephyr. But one reason that this is an exception is because this word comes from Middle English. So this word has gone through Middle English, and as you know, Middle English prefers to use Z more than the X at the beginning. So that's why that one varies a little bit more. The R at the beginning of the word would pronounce an RH sound, as in rhinoceros and rhizome and rhomboid. And the S at the beginning of the word, as you guys know, is most likely PS, as in psalm and psychology. So after that, the next one, the U at the beginning of the word would be EU, most likely, as in euphoria, euphemism, and euonym. And if you guys weren't here in the last class, this sound will be a little bit unfamiliar to you, but this sound is the sound that my laser pointer is on is called the schwa sound. And this schwa sound, what's the major characteristic about it is the schwa sound kind of makes like an sound. And you might think that's not really anything special with it. But the thing that's special about it is that in the majority of languages, that letter can be spelled by all of the vowels. Because it's such a neutral sound, all of the vowels can sound like that in words. So, As you can see here in Greek, that is the case. It can be spelled A-E-I-O-U, and the A is usually at the end of the word. So if the schwa is at the end, you should probably spell it as an A. And some examples are, and these are more complicated words, so you guys don't really need to focus on the definitions right now more than the rules. So these words include hyperbaton, xylophone, thesaurus, and hypocrisy. And for most of these, just for the familiarity of it, for most of these rules, I try to pick out words that would be a little bit more, that'd be common to you guys. But some of these words are a little bit, some of these rules only apply to harder words. So some of these words might not be familiar to you definition wise. So, and the I sound, the sound that makes I can be spelled I, E-I, or Y. And an example of it is in biography and hyperbole. And the EI is pretty uncommon for this rule, so you don't need to worry about it that much. Like it only comes up in words like kaleidoscope and like it's not really as common. So move over here. Some observations out of Greek. With the schwa sound, it can be spelled as any vowel possible. However, when you're connecting stems, the not bad. However, when connecting stems, O is the most common way to connect stems in Greek. And an example is stromatograph. So, yeah. And then at the end of the word, A is the way to go with the schwa. And I don't really have any examples of it. Let me see if I can think of an example. So an example for the schwa at the end, so would be so this one is the schwa at the end of the word. Then for the A sound, for the ah sound, the A with two dots, it is best to spell it as A or O. However, unless it's pure Greek, which is not really common, O is the way to go, especially in endings. A is more used in some stems though. Like if a word has traveled through multiple languages, including Greek, A is most likely the way to go, but O is more common in pure Greek. Some more observations are here. So the long E sound can be spelled a plethora of ways. There are I, E, Y, OE, AE, and EI. So OE and AE are less common, but can pop up in some trickier words. EI can be spelled both E and I, so look out for that clue. So especially if the word has an alternate pronunciation in which that sound can be spelled as an E, EI would be the way to go. E as a Y is only common at the ending of a word. E ultimately is the most common way to spell the E, long E sound. And we don't have to watch the video right now, but if you guys are interested, this is the spelling mantra video website that I told you guys about. So we'll go back. And now we will talk about Latin. Latin was the language of the Roman Empire, which was the hugest empire of its time. Latin had a big influence on all of Europe, and that influence spread to our languages, as the Roman Empire, as you guys know, was one of the largest empires of all time, and that funneled into science, it funneled into the Romance languages, So Latin has a pretty big, even though Latin's a dead, yeah, I mean, Mongolia is bigger, but sorry, you know what I mean. But anyway, Latin, due to the Roman Empire, Latin has a big influence on our language. And Latin is also the founder of the Romance languages, which include French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, and Romanian. But Romanian's not really common, so you don't need to worry about it. Before the Romans, there were people who inhabited the land that the Romans would live on, they were called the Etruscans. And their language, which is also dead, influenced Latin. And the original Latin alphabet had only 21 letters, and it lacked the letters that we now know as J, U, W, Y, and Z. So, and during my spelling bee days, I actually studied Latin, and I believe that it is a very helpful language to know. Especially most Latin words are relatively easy to spell, like using intuition to say, but Latin can trick you up, especially with its vowels. Like its vowels can have, they all sound, they are not really many differentiators, so they can be somewhat tricky. And Latin contains 30% of spelling bee words. In Latin common rules, the Z, K, and W do not exist as we know. And there's no RH, not as much RH, PH, or CH like Greek. So here are some sounds. The S sound in a word could be spelled S or SC, and you really do not know what it really is. I mean, those are the common ones too. There are a couple other ways to spell the S sound. Like you can spell the S sound as a C or an SS or a CE, but these are not as common. The main ways to spell it are S and SC. And to be honest, for this, you really have to use your speller intuition. Not really much you can do with it. I feel like the SC is more of a pure Latin spelling of it, but if the word has gone through many languages, the S is more common for it. So, just a little thing to know. And then the M at the end of a word is most likely spelled MB. There are exceptions to this, but the M sound at the end is spelled MB, as in comb. And then the N sound can be spelled GN or N. And GN and N's a little bit more common than GN, especially at the beginning of the word. So if the N sound is at the beginning of the word, you would most likely use N. But in the middle or the end of the word, it's really a toss-up. I would say that N is more common, is the way to go most of the time. And then for the oo sound, this sound, the oo, it is spelled with a U, as in community. Community. Does anyone have any questions? I don't think that comes from Latin. I think the word that Hardik is saying, I don't think that comes from Latin.
I don't like Roman empires knew about that animal.
I'll look at that later in the class. That's a good point, but most commonly, I thought new was like, I don't know. I don't think that new is from Latin.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, here are some other sounds. The x sound, the z sound, more like the GZ, or you can also, it also sounds like a KS sound. Like the x sound, that basically is spelled like an X in Latin. Pretty common. So, and the K sound, as you guys know, there is no actual K in Latin. So the K sound is always, most likely going to be spelled by a C, but it can also be a CH in some words. Like, let me see if I can find a word right here. One word in which it can be spelled a CH is So as you see here, the K can be spelled both as a C and a CH. So as I said, Latin doesn't really have many definitive opinions on these rules. Like there's not really many of these spellings that you could really rule out. So that's what makes Latin a little bit complicating, even though the words sound a lot easier than the words in other languages. And then the connecting vowel schwa in Latin is most likely an I, so as in herbivore. And the A with two dots, the ah sound, as in most languages, it can be spelled as an A or an O. And this is where you can kind of this is where you can kind of throw off the pronouncer a little bit. So if you spell it, and this is where a slight variations come in. If the pronouncer pronounces it more like an ah, like a ah sound, not like an ah type of thing, if it's more stress on the O, and you can trick the pronouncer into pronouncing it like that, like when you pronounce the word back to the pronouncer, say if the word is volume, and you don't know if that thing is an O or an A, what you can do is you can pronounce it more like, you can ask the pronouncer if it's like volume and stress more on the O. And if they say that that pronunciation is right, it's most likely that the A with two dots sound would be an O. But say if you have the word quadrangle, and if you ask the pronouncer, is it like quadrangle? And if they say yes, that means that this this A with two dots sound is most likely an A. So I know this might seem confusing now, but it's a lot easier to look at it when you're spelling and with words and when you're actually using it. And I believe in the next class, we will do more with using etymology. So it'll make a little bit more sense then. I just want these rules to kind of sink in your brain and just kind of know these patterns a little bit until then. And then the CH sound can be T, C, or S, as in dissension or spatula. And the last one, the J sound, can be D, J, and G. And as you guys know, I said that Latin does not have the consonant J. But as you guys know, I mean, you guys don't really know this, but one thing is the Latin had an I. Latin has an I, and it'll be a little bit complicating to explain this, but basically what happened is in some of the words where Latin had an I, like in January, like January came from Latin. Originally, it would be spelled like January. That's not like an actual word in Latin, but that's how it came from, especially June, it would be like, or July, it would be Julia. What happens is that I turned into a J. So even though Latin did not have the J consonant, that's where some of our root words can have that J. And some more Latin rules continued. So the qu sound is spelled as a Q, pretty definitive. The S sound is where it can get a little bit confusing. Yeah. The S sound can get a little bit confusing. So it can be S, C, SC, SS, and CE. The schwa sound can be, this is where Latin has a couple additional spellings for the schwa sound. So it can be A, E, I, O, U, or Y. So I have a couple tips here. Let me see. So I don't know if there's many really hard, fast rules for that in Latin. But the most common connecting vowel would be the I, as in would be the I in Latin for the schwa. But this example is ambivalent and the schwa is the A. So Latin doesn't really have many hard and fast rules. Some languages do have better rules for the schwa in Latin, but you just have to use your speller intuition for it. As I say, like the schwa is literally the thing that spellers hate the most, just because it's so hard to decipher. And some languages don't have really any rules based on it. Just basically like here are some spellings for it, and you kind of just have to use your speller intuition to see what things would fit in there. Like for example, for ambivalent, if you put a Y there, it wouldn't really sound great. So some of these spellings that are here, I'm just going to try to maybe help you guys a little bit. Say if you got the word ambivalent and you didn't really know what this schwa was here. You know you have these 7 options. And what we can do is you guys do in any multiple choice test is you can cross out some of the options. So just based on my sense of thought, the Y would not really sound that good here, and so wouldn't the AE. It wouldn't really sound great as ambivalent in ambivalent. So now you just got these 5 or 5 vowels. So thinking about this, if you put the E in there, it would be more sounding like ambivalent instead of ambivalent. So you can most likely cross the E out. I know these are not definitive, but it's better than nothing to cross some options out. And I feel like if you got O, a lot of people, a common root in Latin is VOL, and that means to fly, like revolve. And O probably won't fit because it'd be spelled more like it'd be pronounced more like an O, like ambivalent. And as Corey said in the chat, you probably would not sound great either. So now you're down to these 2 options. And this seems a lot less daunting to choose from than 7 options. So this is how you can use your speller intuition for it. Sorry. So now here are some vowel rules. So the A sound is AE most of the time. I mean, sorry, my bad. I messed this one up, my bad. The A sound is more A, and what I meant to say here is the long I sound. The long I sound is most likely an AE, as in antennae. And the A sound, sorry to confuse you guys, the A sound is just spelled as an A. Like the short A sound is just spelled as an A. Sorry to confuse you guys. So, oh, sorry, my bad. This is not that. I don't know what I was thinking here. Sorry, I just lost what I did in my presentation. Basically, what this is how the Latin singular and plural can change. So this is the singular column, and this is the plural column, as the singular and plural can change. As you guys know that cactus, if it's plural, it becomes cacti, and antenna, singular, it becomes antennae, plural. And a bacterium, singular, would be a bacteria, plural. So crisis, singular, would be crises, plural. And an appendix, singular, would be appendices, plural. Sorry for confusing you guys there. That's what I meant to do with that column. It was nothing about any rules. My bad. So I know it was a little bit confusing, but was everyone able to get what I was trying to do with this bottom section here? Does anyone have any questions for today? I know it's a little bit early in the morning, and you guys aren't probably feeling up to doing spelling in the morning, but does anyone have any questions? If they type in the chat.
That was confusing. So, let me get this straight. So you just put some letters in the first one and you converted it to Latin in the second, so A to AE, and then you gave an example.
No, sorry, that's not what I was trying to get there. So, what I was trying to get here is singular and plural of a word. So, in English, if we get a word like cat, if you want to have a group of cats, you'd say cats, right? So, that's the singular is cat, and the plural, you just add an S. But Latin has somewhat more complicated rules on this matter. Like, say, those antenna, you guys probably don't know this now, but there are cable antennas that we used to.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, just not a young thing most likely. So if you have an antenna, if you pluralize it, it would actually become antennae. It won't just become antennas, it would be antennae, as like the antennae on an insect. So if you have one cactus plant, then you have many cactus plants, it would become, you wouldn't call them just cactuses, you would call them cacti. And these all work similar ways. So if you, one bacteria or one thing of bacteria would be a bacterium. But the plural, if you have a group of many of bacteriums, they would be called bacteria. Same thing. If you have one, crisis basically means problem. If you have one problem, it would be called a crisis. But if you have multiple problems, it would be called crises. And same thing with the appendix. If you have multiple appendixes, they would become appendices. So that's what I was trying to get there. Yeah, sorry for confusing everyone. And
I get it now.
for someone asking when is the quiz, we'd probably do the quiz at like 10, 15, 10, 10 o'clock maybe. Be like that. So here are some Latin observations. I'll also tell you guys a couple extra ones. So in Latin, a schwa as a connective vowel is most likely I, and if you guys have a question, by the way, you just type it in the chat instead of raising your hand. Sorry, it's just a little bit easier for me to get to the chat that way. When will the class end? The class will end at like 10, 20, 10:30, probably. Not a terribly long class. It won't go all the way to 11. Does anyone have any other questions? No? Okay. One more question. Yes, I sent the slideshow, I believe, to your parents last week. I shared it with them so they can view. So I'll share this slideshow with you guys too for viewing purposes, so you guys can access the links. Okay. So in Latin, most likely the schwas, if you just like have no idea what the schwa is going to be, if you have no clue, your best guess would be an A or an E for the schwa sound. But a connective schwa would most likely be I. And I said we will do the quiz at 10:15 today. So. And the K sound in a word is most likely spelled C, CC, CH, or CCH. And the CCH and the CC are not really, the CCH and the CH are not really as common. But if a word comes from Greek to Latin, spell it as CH. Because as you guys know, the H sound and the H following a consonant is not really as big as a player as it is in Greek. So this is the order in which they are most common. If you have no idea what the K sound would be in a word, just spell it as a C. Now, when a word has the J sound, most likely spell it with a J, but beware of the D and the G sound. Like in the word dodge, the G sound is a D, the J sound is a DGE. And in, let me see if I can find any more examples. And So one word in which it's not spelled as a J is this word. This word is pronounced assiduous. So this J sound is spelled as a D here, even though that sounds somewhat counterintuitive. And this is where that J sound, the same J sound, is spelled as a G. And let me see if I can find any more observations that might be of help to you guys. So the long E sound is a tricky sound in Latin. I don't know if I covered it. Let me see if I covered that long E. Nope. So, long E sound is also a tricky sound in Latin. So the ways that it can be spelled is OE. Sorry. The ways that the E sound can be spelled are E, I, AE, IE, OE, EI, and Y. So this seems like a lot of options. And the quiz will be about the 1B words that I shared the PDF with you guys, the words of champs list. So these are the ways to spell the E in Latin. So if the word traveled through Greek, the AE and the OE will be more common in that word. So basically that's the only differentiation you have. But other than that, it's more of your speller intuition. So if a word traveled through Greek, just spell it AE or OE for the long E sound. But other than that, if you just hear the sound in general, the E and the I are your safest bets. And I don't know, do you guys want to watch any videos on Latin observations? I think we can say you guys can do that on your own time because these videos are terribly long and I don't know if we'll have time for them anyway. So our final bit of today's class is we'll just be explaining the main Latin and Greek roots. So if you guys don't know what roots are basically parts of a word. Like roots are basically like a base of a word, as you gotta say if I have the word aquarium. The aqua would be the root. The aqua would be a root, and this means water, as you guys know. And rium, I believe, is just like a container. So basically, those are the roots of a word. So the roots are parts of the word that come from the language. Like, for example, aqua comes from Latin, and those you can use those roots to help you spell words because roots will never change. So let me see. Let's find some roots here. Here is a basic list of roots here. So I'll just read through this list quickly with you guys and try to give you some tips for them. So ambi means both. And an example is that might be common to you guys is ambidextrous. If you know someone who is ambidextrous, they are dominant in both of their hands. So like, for example, they can throw a baseball with their right hand and throw it as well with their left hand. That's someone who is ambidextrous. Next one is aqua. Aqua means water. Like it comes from the Latin for aqua. And some examples are aquarium and aquamarine. And the next one is odd. So a couple of examples are audience. As an audience is someone who listens to someone, like an audience to like if someone's singing, the audience is someone who listens to them. And like if someone's giving a speech, the audience listens to them. And an audition is where someone listens to you to see if you're good enough, basically. So basically you can use little tips like that to help you remember words. Like you can use little tips. Like if you see the word audition, you can basically break it into its roots. It's someone who listens to me to see if I'm good enough. So Just little ways to help you spell words better rather than just memorizing words. So bene means good. And a benefactor, if you guys know someone who helps someone, like a benefactor to a charity. So a benefactor is someone who changes the charity in a way of good or something. So that's how bene means good. Cent is 100. So a century is 100 years, and a percent is out of 100. And yes. Yep, Hardik has a great way of using roots as an immortal. Yeah, those are roots too. Nice. So circum means going around, like a circumference of a circle, if you guys learned that in math yet. Contra means against. So if you contradict someone in an argument, you're talking against them. And dict, as it's up here, is to say. So a dictation is where you say something to someone and they write it down. So that's how dictation means to speak. And in contradict, you find that same thing too when you're talking against someone in an argument. So duct is to lead. Like if you guys know aqueducts, aqueducts, they lead water. In the ancient Roman empires, aqueducts were the places that led water. And if you have a question, just type it into the chat. I think it's easier. And fac is to do. So a factory is something that makes stuff. And if you manufacture something, you make it with your hands. So manu means hands. And I'm just going through these quickly. They might not make sense, but if you study these and try to use them and remember them in ways that are better to you, that'll probably help you in your spelling journey. Someone has a question. Yeah, they got clean water to Rome. That's what the aqueducts did. So, and form is shape. This one, it's not really as common like in basic word, like conform and reform. Reform means like change the shape of something, but there's not really like, not fort. Fort is a tent, but fortitude is strength, and this comes from a Latin word meaning fierce. So, and fract means to break, like to fracture a bone. Ject means to throw, like when you through a projection. One word. I don't think some of these examples are good. One word that will help you guys is interject. So when you interject in a conversation, you basically say throw something in between. Like I know it's not really that harsh, but when you're like some two people are talking and you interject them saying something, you're basically blocking their conversation, adding yourself in there. So you're basically throwing something in between. I know that might be a little bit hard to think about, but then jud means to judge, like a judiciary, or a judge is someone who makes decisions. Yeah, fort is also strength. And as you know, fort comes from fortress, I believe, too. I think fort comes from fortress. So that's how you get that. And then mal means bad. Mater means mother, like in as maternal. And maternity is the period when you're having birth. Mit means to send, and when you transmit something, you send it over transportation, like you transmit a virus or something, as we're dealing with now. Mort means death, as in mortal or immortal, as Hardik said, I believe. And second. Then multi means many, as in multiple. Pater means father, as in paternal or paternity. Port, carry, as in a portable, something that is portable is something that is easy. Rupt means to break, as in bankrupt or disruption. And rupture also comes from that too. Scrib or scribe means to write. Like a prescription is something that is written for you, like a medicine that is written for you to take. A sect is to cut. If you bisect something, you cut it in half. And if any of you guys have done a dissection yet, if you dissect something, that means you're cutting it up, you're cutting it apart. And then let me see if there's anyone. Struct means to build, as in a structure is something that is being built. And vis is to see, as in a video is something that can be seen. And voc is voice, to call, as in vocalize. And there are some Greek roots here. I'm just going to read through some of them. So anthropo means man. Like an anthropologist is someone who studies about man. And you guys might have seen this ologist ending too. It might come up later, I believe. But ology basically means the study of. And an ologist is someone who studies something. Like, so someone who studies about people is an anthropologist. So, yeah. And then auto means self. Like an autobiography is a book that you write about yourself. And then bio means life. So biology, if you guys remember the ology root, is the study of life. Chron means time, as I stated earlier. So chronological is saying something in the order of time. Graph means writing. So something that is graphic is something that is written out. And when you plot something of a graph, that is being written. And also photograph comes from that. And photograph means basically photograph in its, if you just take it by its root, it means writing light. Basically what that means is when you take a picture, it records the light and you can either print it out as they used to do back in the day, or it's like light on a paper, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. Then homo is same, so homonym or homogeneous. Hydro means water, as in if you're dehydrated, you don't have enough water. Hypo means below. So if any of you guys have had hypothermia, you know that your temperature is too low and you're freezing. And here is where our ology or logy root comes from, and it means the study of. So like biology is the study of life. And then meter is measuring. So a thermometer is something that measures your temperature, as therm means temperature. And micro means small, so a microscope is something that can see small things. And mono means one. So if you have a monologue in a play, that means you're just talking to yourself. You're not really talking to any other characters. You're just talking to yourself. And morph means form or shape. So if you guys know metamorphosis, metamorphosis is when something changes its shape. So that's how metamorphosis came to be like that. And then nym, N-Y-M, this usually comes at the ending of the word, it means name. So synonym is something that has a similar name, something that sounds similar. And phile means love. So a philanthropist is a philanthropist is someone who loves people, I guess. Yeah, geology is the study of the earth. And more commonly, it's the study of the rocks in the earth. And then, as you guys know, phobia means fear. So if you have claustrophobia, that means you're scared of tight spaces. Phone means sound. So a phone is where you can call someone and hear their sound. Photo means light. So I've already explained this before. Photograph means basically writing down light. And the last main one I want to tell you guys is therm. And therm means heat, as in a thermometer measures your temperature. So did I lose anyone there? I might have lost a couple people there. And thermos, yeah. So using examples, root words can be a little bit more easier to understand. So does anyone have any questions about those? If you have a question, type it in the chat too. No. Yeah, all of those words were in alphabetical order. And no one has any questions. Yes, we're doing the test now. So if no one has any questions, we'll move on to our quiz. Yes, we're gonna start the quiz now. So the time is 10:08. Let me give you guys a quick 10-minute break because it's early morning. And then once you guys come for that break, we'll start our quiz. Good? So at 10:15, we'll start our quiz. Is everyone good? Okay.
How many questions is it?
7 questions on the 1B word.
Okay.
Last.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys used my
Yeah.
tips to help you study, because we'll see today who studied and who was not able to study as much. So we will.
What time do we be back at?
10:15. Type it in the chat actually.
I haven't had a chance to study because I wasn't at the last class. So can I just take the quiz and see what I get?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I just recommended people to study. You didn't really have to study. This isn't
Same here.
this isn't a life or death situation. You guys don't have to worry about not studying. It's fine. These words are just here to test you, so you can see where you stand and how you can improve. So I will stop sharing the screen, and we will be back in 10 minutes, approximately. I mean, 5 minutes approximately. So is everyone back in the meeting now? Just say yes in the chat if you're in the meeting. Actually, let's wait for 5 more minutes just in case anyone's not there quickly. So we'll actually start at 10:20, 10:20, like 3.
What time will our break last up to?
We will start at 10:22, like 10:23.
Okay.
Is the test gonna start? Because you said it would start at 10:22. Oh.
Just pasted the thing in the chat. So can everyone access it?
Yeah, I can get to it.
Okay then.
I have to leave
I
it.
can't click on the link. When I click on the link, nothing happens.
It actually comes up in Internet Explorer, so I think the best way to do it is to copy and paste it into Google Chrome.
Oh, never mind. It came up in a bunch of tabs now. It was loading for a long time.
So,
Okay.
also, I think I found out the problem last time was that some of you guys put a space after your answer. So just make sure that when you're typing your answer that there's no spaces before or after the word that you're spelling. Like, I mean, I corrected for it this time, but I'm not really sure. So just don't put any spaces before or after your word. Okay?
Are all of these words from the 1B?
All of them are from the 1B.
Okay, thank you.
Can everyone hear me properly?
Yes.
Bueno. Okay. So, our first word will be nibble. Nibble. It's a verb.
Does it have to be capital?
No. All lowercase is preferred. So the word is nibble. It is a verb. It means to bite gently. And the language of origin is
Is this word
unknown.
one?
Yeah, word one. Word one is nibble. It's a verb. It means to bite gently. The mice nibbled at the cheese.
No caps, right?
Yes, no caps. I'll just type it in the chat so everyone can see.
But last time when I kept all lowercase, it told it was wrong. And then
No, I think I fixed the problem this time. The problem is do not keep a space in the word.
Okay.
What happens if you get all of the questions correct?
Bragging rights, I guess.
Like, is the meaning take small bites out of?
Yeah, to bite gently or to take small bites out of.
Oh, okay.
Did everyone get that word?
I finished it.
Same.
So, our next word will be gleaming. And no. Before I go into the next word, I just want to say that any typos that happen this time, I'm not going to correct them. So, you guys have to make sure that you do your typos. You guys have to make sure that there's no typos in your answer. I'm going to mark everything that is wrong. Even
What is a typo?
a typo is something that you type incorrectly. Like if you wanted to say cat and you accidentally said C, like ST, that's wrong. That's a typo. Even if you know the word, you have to type it correctly.
Okay.
So now, word number two. Word number two is going to be gleaming. Gleaming. Gleaming is a verb to shine with or as if with subdued, steady light or moderate brightness. And it comes from Middle English, from Old English. The sun was gleaming when it was sunrise. The word again is gleaming. Gleam,
Gleaming or leaming?
gleaming,
Oh,
gleaming.
Like a smooth surface reflecting light, typically because of cleaned or polished.
Yes, but are you looking it up or?
No, I just recited the definition.
Okay. So now we will move on to word number 3, and I'll pronounce all of these words one more time once we're done. So, our next word is dandelion. Dandelion or dandelion. It is a noun. Any of yellow flowered composite herbs with milky sap.
Wait, is it so that plant, like that plant with feathers, and if you blow it, like, you know, you get the wish and stuff, like that plant with the feathers on it?
Yeah, but from now on, I can't answer your questions because I'm giving all the information.
Okay.
Find the third word, right?
Yeah, word number 3. Word number 3. The word again is dandelion. And it comes from Middle English from Anglo-French. I'll say it
did
again.
you say dandelion?
Dandelion,
Yeah,
dandelion,
dandy.
noun. The young kid was picking the petals off of the dandelion. If everyone is done with that, I will move on to word number 4. This is word number 4 now. Word number 4 is memorandum. Memorandum. It is a noun. It means an informal record, also a written reminder. It's Middle English from Latin.
Can you say it again?
The company president sent a memorandum to every employee. I'll say it 2 more times. Memorandum. Memorandum. It's a noun. Give me a thumbs up when you're done.
What was the fourth word?
Memorandum. Memorandum. I'll move on now. Our next word is synthetic. Synthetic. It is an adjective. The definition of synthetic is relating to or involving synthesis. Synthetic comes from Greek. Synthetic. Synthetic. It's an adjective. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
Did we do word 6 or are we on word 6?
That one was word 5.
Okay.
So our next one will be word 6. I'll move on now to word 6. Word 6 is skedaddle. Skedaddle. Skedaddle is a verb. It means to leave immediately.
Skedaddle,
Hey,
skedaddle or
Ram. The word is skedaddle.
okay, thank you.
Skedaddle. I have got to skedaddle, or else I will be late for work. Skedaddle comes from Middle English, from British, from Old Norse. Skedaddle. Skedaddle. It's a verb. Give me a thumbs up when you guys are ready to move on to our final word. That was word number 6. Skedaddle. We will move on to our final word now. Word number 7 is clodhopper. Clodhopper. It is a noun. Clodhopper is a clumsy and uncouth rustic. Origin unknown.
Clodhopper or flodhopper?
I'll say it again. Clodhopper.
Is it one word or two words?
All of these are one word.
Okay.
I do not want clodhopper handling my rare antiques.
Oh, you're still glitching out.
Clodhopper.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
It's clodhopper, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
before any of you guys submit, just make sure to check your thing for typos because I can't correct any of them.
Do we submit when we checked everything?
Yes. Submit when you're done.
Well, do you need to answer any questions?
What did you say? Sorry, didn't hear.
Do you need to do the any questions?
No, that's just if you have any questions about or concerns about the class today.
Okay.
Not then you can just submit. And after you finish your quiz, please stay on because we have something important. This is where I'm gonna introduce our project for the class, basically. It's not gonna be that much work to be honest. You guys should be fine.
When are you gonna check it?
I'm gonna check it probably this weekend. I'm gonna check both of yours this weekend.
Okay, because I didn't do last times.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I wasn't here for last time, same, so I couldn't do it.
I have 9 responses now. Okay. So did everyone submit? Because we have 12 participants and only 9 responses. Okay, we have 10. One more person needs to. And sorry if any of you guys are still sleepy because I know it's early morning. I know I'm a little bit sleepy too. So yes, everyone submitted. So now let me share my screen real quickly for just, it's gonna take a quick amount of time. So I just want to make an announcement for our final spelling bee class. So as you got, yeah, good job for everyone who got 100. I will go over those words actually real quickly, but first I just want to make this announcement. In our last class, we will have a final spelling bee. We won't be learning any content. I'll just let you guys use the tips that you've learned for this class, and we'll have a final spelling bee. All of the words that I will ask you guys will come from the Words of Champions list. You guys already studied the 1B words, but for the B, I expect you guys to know the 1B words, the 2B words, and the beginning of the 3B words if you wish to do well in our final spelling bee. So as you guys know, I'm keeping a points system. So whoever wins the final spelling bee will get 20 points added to their point system. Second will get 15, third will get 10, and so on, and 9, and fourth will get like 9, and so on down. So make sure you study.
And what happens?
The point system's kind of just to make you guys feel a little bit competitive about it. I might have a prize at the end. We'll see. We'll see. It's all a surprise. And the PDF link is here, which I'm going to share for you. So good luck. And let me stop sharing real quick so we can go over our words real quickly for today's class. So,
Is it just me or can everyone hear?
what did you say? I didn't hear.
You?
Oh, okay. So here is our. Let me check. I can see it. Okay. Good job to everyone who got 100. Let me just share the screen so we can go over the words. So 4 people got 100, which is really nice. That's a lot better. And the median was 6 points. So we improved last time using the study tips. So
Who got the hundreds?
if they want me to share their names, let me check real quick. So Shiza got 8 points, I believe. Hardik got 8 points. Nice job to Hardik. Yamini got 8 points. And let's see, I missed one. And Rohan got 8 points. So congrats to everyone who got 8 points. So let me go over our questions. Let me go over our words for today. So the first word today was nibble. And most people got it right, so it's pretty self-explanatory. The next word we had was gleaming. Gleaming, and it kind of means something that is like very shiny. It describes something that is shiny. The next word was dandelion, and most people got this right, so pretty good job. Next one we had was memorandum, and this one was a little, I made this one a little bit trickier. So congrats to everyone who got it right. It comes from Latin, so some of the Latin rules that we learned today might have helped if they got stuck in your brain. Nice job. Next word was synthetic, and it means something that is like a little bit, it's made in like a lab. It's not natural, so synthetic. Next word was skedaddle. Skedaddle, so it kind of means to scram away. And then that last word was clodhopper. So I'll count your guys' score, and I will send you an email on the score updates in our next follow-up email. So,
I have to go.
oh yeah, does anyone have any questions? Because I'm about to end class now anyway. Any questions?
Homework.
Homework? So the homework, yeah, thanks for reminding me. Let me actually share my screen. So the homework, it shouldn't be that hard, really. But the homework will, let me see if I can work this. The homework will be to study the Latin and Greek sections of this spell it list. So I'll email this one to you guys too, but the Latin section is the first. It probably only has like 200 or so words. And the Greek section is a little bit farther down. Let me see if I can find it. And then Greek. And then these are the Greek words. So you guys will just study these for next class, and that'll be our homework. So does anyone have any questions? All good?
What about
Yes.
the word of champions, that list?
That list, you guys have to study that list for our 6th class, which will be August something like 10th or August like 19th or something.
Okay, bye.
Bye everyone. Yeah, you guys can print it out if you like. If no one else has any questions, I'll end class. Bye.
Bye. Bye.